Welcome, friends. Welcome to Sunday morning in the Old Cookbook Show. And today we're going to do a recipe out of The Cook's Book. This was published in 1931 by the KC Baking Powder Company out of Chicago. And this is an amazing booklet. The printing is incredible. It's very well crafted. The pictures are fantastic. The color. For something that would have been a giveaway in 1931 in order to promote their business and promote their product, this is incredibly well done. And in keeping with the advertising ephemera of the time, it's a really hard sell for their product. They are pounding home that their product is the best. And even though this is several years on from the First World War, they're very proud to point out that without KC baking powder, the Americans would not have won the First World War, which I think is, as a Canadian, I think that's a very interesting statement. Then you turn to the first page of recipes, and this is what we're going to bake today. It is the KC German coffee cake. No clue what makes it German. No clue at all what makes it German. And I think that's in a lot of ways has to do with the time period. You tried to make something sound exotic. So I've got flour here, and into the flour I'm going to add sugar, salt, and baking powder. But sadly, I'm not using KC baking powder because it's not available where I live in Canada. Although apparently it still is available in the southwestern United States. The company's been bought out a few times, and so it's still something that you can find on the shelves. So I'm going to stir this together. The recipe says to sift. I don't sift anymore. Everything comes pre-sifted. It's pretty much lump-free and bug-free at this point. So dry ingredients are done. In this container, I have some melted butter. And to the melted butter, I'm going to add 1 egg. And I'm just going to beat that together. And I'm just going to use a fork just to mix this up, beat the egg into the butter. Next thing is to add enough milk to make 1 1/4 cups. And then continue to beat that all together. Okay, put the milk back in the fridge. Have you seen our bagged milk t-shirts? I kind of really like them. So it says to stir all together with an inverted spoon to a stiff batter. So I'm going to get a wooden spoon. I've never seen this instruction before. Let's see how it works out. That came together really nicely with the end of a spoon, the wrong end of the spoon. So I'm going to switch to a spatula so that I can get it out of the bowl and into the pan. Next thing it says is to use a biscuit pan. To me, a biscuit pan is cast iron, and it's kind of like a shallow muffin tin made out of cast iron that you would cook biscuits in. And so I don't know how that translates to this cookbook and this recipe. And obviously it's a terminology that what they're using at this time period in this geographical area doesn't translate to my time period in my geographical area. So I'm just going to go with an 8x8 square. I've greased the bottom. I've put a little bit of parchment paper in it so that I can get it out. And I'm going to spread this in because I think 8x8 is the right size for this amount of batter. So in it goes, although it is more of a biscuity batter than a cake batter. It's kind of strange. We'll see how this works out. So I'm supposed to spread this smooth. And once I've got it spread smooth, brush the top with melted butter. So we'll do that as best we can. Of course, it doesn't say how much butter, so just make it work. I've got about 2 tablespoons of butter here that I've melted. And then spread on ground sugar and cinnamon, or ground cinnamon and sugar. So we're supposed to sprinkle this over top. Again, it's up to you, up to your discretion. Up to your discretion what kind of sugar you want to use. Brown sugar would be really good, I would think. Or a large grain sugar, something like a sugar in the raw. So I'm going to sprinkle that on top, and then I'm going to bake it. And it says a moderate oven, and it gives a temperature of 300 to 375 degrees. I think that's 375 is a little bit high for a moderate oven, but I'm going to choose 350. Doesn't give an amount of time, so I'm going to keep a careful watch on it because I often overbake based on these old recipes and a new oven.
All right.
Whew.
Looks pretty good.
KC German coffee cake.
Okay. What makes it a German coffee? I don't.
No clue.
Okay.
No clue. But it was interesting because it wasn't a cakey consistency. It was much more of, I don't know, much more of a like a quick bread consistency than a cake consistency.
Okay. Well, clearly we're having it with tea just to break all the rules. Mm-hmm. Is there coffee in it? No, it's just for having with my coffee. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's like a tea biscuit.
It's much more like a tea biscuit, isn't it?
Which is funny for a coffee cake. Mm-hmm. It's disguised.
So where it tells me to cook it in a biscuit pan, which is like a gem pan or like a shallow muffin pan, that would have probably been correct. So you would break it up.
You didn't follow the recipe?
Well, I don't have one of those. I don't have one of those pans.
Oh, okay.
So I just put it in a square 9x9, which is what most people will have. But if you have a biscuit pan, like a cast iron biscuit pan, this would go really well in that, and then you'd have individual ones.
Now that being said, if you then complemented this with, like you would with biscuits, with some jam or,
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like a cheater tea biscuit. A little bit sweet, not very sweet because it isn't very sweet at all.
But a cheater tea biscuit is a bit like making instant macaroni. Like tea biscuits aren't complicated.
No, and this was super easy. I'd put apples in this.
Almost any kind of do peaches. Peaches might be too wet, but yeah.
Dice them up really fine, mix them in.
We're in. We're in agreement.
Yeah, so a cup of tea and this with a little slathering of butter or carrot marmalade.
Yes, carrot marmalade would work as well.
Okay.
We're just going to go sit and finish some tea?
So I think I'm going to go and sit on the couch, finish my tea, and eat this with carrot marmalade on it. Give it a try. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.